Been Glebe in the graffiti tunnels, and look who we got here.
Hey! I just had an interview with Nathan. What a beautiful spot, mate.
I just found him walking through the tunnels.
Yeah, just wandering around.
3, 2, 1. YouTubers. Today I've got Shannon here with us. TikTok, viral TikTok star, helping others. He's been through a lot in his life. We're just going to talk about that with him just quickly. So Danny, how are you, mate?
Good, Nathan. Absolutely.
Finally meet you.
Yeah, absolute pleasure to be catching up with Nathan. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. This is a mad location.
Yeah.
I'm
pumped. In the tunnels in Glebe, the graffiti tunnels. They're pretty sick here, actually.
You can come down and paint. I actually did a bit of research. You can come down and paint down here. But yeah, I'm absolutely, I'm chuffed to be here and I'm chatting with Nathan and to do this. All I like to do is just tell the truth, share my message of recovery.
And Danny's got a short film coming up, which we'll talk about a little bit, and we'll put his socials and all that. Make sure he's following. We'll put him in the description down below. So make sure you all follow Danny, support his cause, and if you need help, if you need anything, just contact Danny. So Danny, we'll start with where you grew up, how you grew up, all that stuff. You know, your family life at home. What was that like?
Grew up like in the western suburbs. That's what I always called. I don't know if it's southwest, but Cabra. I grew up, went to primary school in Cabramatta, went to high school in Fairfield. I got kicked out of high school at year 8, slashing the high school, the jumping cars with the fate, school fate.
Oh, you popped it?
Yeah, popped
that
it.
Wouldn't let you on?
No. Just then, idiot.
Oh, yeah.
Just then, a little shit. But I'm pretty, I like to always say I had this beautiful, loving mum who gets a shout out in every interview I do. I learned all my values and morals from my mum. My dad, his nickname Shonky, he taught me everything I should know. My dad supported my drug habit through being a fence or buying stolen criminal made my whole life, my whole using life, and as a kid, not my whole life.
Yeah.
But and mum was just this beautiful, lost soul who just must have went through hell.
Yeah.
And I had a sister too. I have a sister.
Oh, yeah. Older or younger?
Younger sister, I've got 2 half brothers.
Oh, yeah.
But mate, look, my childhood was I often say, I get messages from people on a daily basis. In fact, just this morning I had a young lady talking to me about growing up in foster homes and some of the horrific stuff that happens, And in this niche or this group of people, it seems to be like 9 out of 10 people go through horrific childhood stuff. That wasn't me necessarily. What happened is I picked up drugs and I became an animal overnight, and I used drugs horrifically, absolutely, but the childhood didn't really...
with that?
I didn't have an excuse because of my childhood.
Yeah. So I'm like 1 out of 10 that probably didn't have that.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand that, and all my siblings were okay, but as soon as I went to jail, I understood, like, it shocked me, all the shit that was going on with people and that they'd all gone through that led them there.
Yeah, so you're one of the 10, so you didn't have...
My family's straight, all straight,
yeah. Well, so is mine,
Dangerous drugs, that ain't nothing,
My dad did smoke ice with my Coey not so long ago. My dad recently just passed away, bless him too. But me and my dad had this relationship. I call him Tony, his whole life. But he was a legend, mate. He used to bring drops into me, into jail. He'd do anything I want. He never once judged me, and probably because he used to put in orders for the stolen shit he wanted, so he couldn't really judge me, you know what I mean? But my mum and the rest of my family were straight in 180s,
Yeah. Oh, so how'd you get into addiction? Like, where did that start? Yeah. What led into that?
So my mum and dad were still together. Well, they've been on and off for years, and they gave one last hurrah, as they say. They moved up to Bundaberg. And the night I moved up to Bundaberg, I got drunk, stoned, and I got on the cream bomb, the nitric oxide, the nangs.
How old were you?
14.
Oh, yeah?
That was the beginning, bro. Over the next year, I dabbled with speed, LSD, magic mushrooms, pot, everything, cocaine, everything except for heroin, and every drug in Australia except for heroin. But at 15, I remember sitting in the yellow Gemini. Remember the Gemini?
Yeah.
Little Gemini.
One,
yeah. My mate Greg had one too, and I was sitting at the front of this drug dealer's house, and we're going to buy heroin for the first time. And I remember thinking, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I didn't want it. I was scared. Yeah. But peer pressure or wanting to be tough and not wanting to say no made me say, all right, let's do it. Next minute, I'm sitting in dingy little flat in Cabramatta with no furniture, dirty soiled carpet, dirty walls, and I've got Wok, the drug dealer, who I did jail with. Wok, you probably know Wok. There's probably a bunch of Woks, but anyway, I did jail with Wok years later, but he was shooting me up with heroin for the first time.
Yeah.
And if I'd had a problem with drugs up until that point, I wouldn't really say I did. That day was the beginning of the end.
Like you knew it, yeah.
Yeah, it was always just like that was great.
Yeah. Wow. So
And
you
mate,
fell in love with it really fast?
straight away. That I never missed a day for the next 7, 8 years. Mate. The day I shot up heroin, I never missed a day. Well, I mean, that's.
And how old were you then?
I was 15. Nearly
15. So just a year into your drug use, you're using needles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Alright. So from there, what kind of trouble were you getting in? Were you already in trouble, or you already been to jail?
I was already in trouble because we were smoking pot and drinking and running amok. So I was a good skateboard rider. I used to be. Well, we've got lots of similarities. I used to be a mad skater, and I used to knock off building sites. And because my mum, she was a legend, we used to build all these skate parks in my backyard. Like we literally do over a building site, bring the wood home, and make ramps like skate parks. So I used to, Fairfield Skate Park was open back then. Yeah. And anyway, so that brought in lots of people, but by the time I picked up drugs, I lost all those people pretty quick, you know.
Yeah.
Well, mate, what was the question? Yes, I was breaking into school canteens. We'd skate to schools. This is every single night. We'd go to have a session at the schools, skate to schools, break in the canteen, wood shop, whatever it was, get power tools, swap it for pot, and that's where it started, mate. And then that escalated into stolen cars pretty early. Of course, 15 of stealing cars, police chases at 15. I learned very quickly that you don't ever give up in a police chase because you can get away sometimes. And I'm not saying I got away all the time, but 50% I'd get away. And then I started getting,
Yeah. So what about getting locked up for the first time? When was that? How
boy
old?
time, 16. I wrote. Well, I had about $3,500 worth of warrants. Remember back then?
Yeah.
How old are you?
41.
Oh, shit.
21.
Okay. I'm 49. Yeah. So back then, it was mad. You get locked up for warrants. It wasn't mad at 16, but at 18, right? But you get locked up for a day, you'd wipe out $100 a warrant a day. So they locked me up in, I think it was Cobham, and I $100 a day. I was only there for maybe 7 days. And my family paid the rest of it. So it was a good little lesson, mate. At the time, so at the time when I got locked up for the boy time, I hadn't used the heroin.
Oh yeah.
But when I had my first lot of withdrawals, I remember hanging out. I was in a bedroom. I had a girlfriend. And she's going, "What's going on?" And I didn't know what was going on really, too. You know, I felt like I had a bad cold. And that was my introduction to withdrawals.
Yeah.
Horrible. And then the first time is free. Every time after that, withdrawals became the most. Well, the aim was not to go into withdrawal, ever, wasn't it?
Because once it gets in your head that it's about to happen or it's happening,
you
just go downhill real quick.
Yeah. It does. It's so powerful, the mind. Like even, I'll tell you one thing. Like I got stuck on the methadone for 13 years, and when I finally come off it, I did it with 30 other people. And mate, when there's 30 other people withdrawing, you hardly feel it, mate. But when you're fucking alone and you're in your head, like, a lot of it's in your head. It truly is. Like, obviously the diarrhea, the vomiting, the sweaty, the clammy skin, all of that stuff's real. But, you know, like day 3 of withdrawals, like it's really out of your system.
Yeah.
You know, but
I never used needles.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But I did have, like, sort of minor ones, just in jail with you. Yeah, so I never really had any bad ones or any hard ones. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was horrible. Look, withdrawals. I remember like at one stage in my life there, I was living in a squat in Bankstown, right? I had a good thing happening. I won't go into what it was, but a good little thing happening. And every morning at 6 a.m, someone would pull up in a Commodore and they'd give us our gear. Now, 5 o'clock, I'm hanging out, like in the withdrawals, you know? And I'd be sitting on this front balcony, I'm on a lounge, this old dirty lounge, and I'd be hanging out just waiting for the dealer to come. 6 o'clock, pretty much when he'd drop off, and we'd have our drugs, and then I'd be sitting there smashed. And I'd be watching all these people going to work. with their suitcases and dressed up. I used to think, these poor people, you know? Look at these people. Look at me, just smashed on the couch. Fucking delusion.
Thinking that was the life, eh?
Yeah, I thought I had the life. I thought I did have the life.
Yeah, you're looking at the people, they're all like that, you think these people got a shit life. You know, I thought that when I was in crime and shit too. Like I said, I do what I want and all this, but yeah, it's a fucking terrible way to live.
But how did, when did I think, my rock bottom went for 13 years, man. Like, people talk about having this rock bottom, and I understand, I had many. There was two major ones, okay? Living homeless under the bridge in Woolloomooloo, hanging out like a motherfucker, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, wanting to get on. I haven't brushed my teeth for fucking 2 weeks, haven't had a feed for a little while. I always had hope I was going to get on. And the other one would be hanging out in the dry cell in Darcy 1 on a concrete bed because I threatened some stupid shit. They put me on the rape, which is like, they take everything away from you, shoelaces, blankets, everything. So you got that concrete bed thinking, this is fucked, you know.
Yeah.
But still, that's the worst that they got, mate.
Yeah.
You know? I've got a pretty optimistic outlook on.
Yeah, if you follow Dan, you know he's one of the happiest people. He's always with a smile on his face.
I don't know that.
What's the worst point you got to?
The worst point I got to would have been that homeless on the streets in King's Cross, roaming the streets at 3 a.m, not even have enough energy to do an earn or be too fucking afraid to do an earn or whatever it is.
And for those who don't know, an earn?
To make some money to get on, basically.
Like earn some money.
But the most pathetic time would have been wandering the streets at 3 a.m, Cabramatta or King's Cross, hoping I'm going to bump into someone who's going to chop me up, basically.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. And it would happen, but it would happen, you know? It would happen, or I'd manipulate, or I'd scam, or I would fucking break into somewhere eventually. Yeah. I never really went one single day without getting on.
Yeah.
You just don't.
It's amazing the way the mind, like when you're in that addiction and you're a junkie, and the way your mind works and the way you can manipulate situations to make things work for you. Like you can be on Centrelink, and your daily habit could be a Centrelink check, but you'll get that 14 times a fortnight. No, like you'll get enough times a fortnight.
Yeah.
Like
it's true. I used to, honestly, I would use some days on average $1,000. Heroin and other behaviours. Maybe hookers, maybe gambling. Especially if I was on the ice too. Like if I was on the ice with the coke, I was doing speedballs. I don't want to go too much in that grade. I was constantly stoned for 17 years, It was a big party, but it was all shit too. It was all good and it was all shit, Like I'm a survivor. In that time I fell out of the 3rd story window of a rehab.
What happened there?
I was climbing out to go get on from William Booth here. I snuck out, tied up sheets from the 3rd story window, and they lowered me down. On my way back, I had too much heroin in Cabra, and I slipped and I hit the deck. I cut my Achilles tendon in half. My right leg, it's really fucked. I'm going to just show you. My right leg's half the size of my left leg. So I cut my Achilles tendon in half here. It sprung up my leg. So Easter Sunday 2002, I was in the emergency department, them operating on my leg. I had a motorbike accident where I ended up in a coma for 3 days. I slur sometimes. I've got a brain injury. Pretty heroin will do that to you.
Yeah, wow. So what about rehab? So how many times did you go to rehab?
49 times.
49 times.
I was known, people, it's not that hard to do 49 rehabs. I was known on a first name basis. Let me rattle off some. Basement 82 doesn't exist. It used to just be down the road here. Westmount Rehab in the mountains doesn't exist anymore. Cumberland Hospital, Wisteria House. I used to go 10 times each one of those places. They'd known my name, and in fact, the drug court nurse was one of the nurses from one of them, and she knew me from my jail escape.
You escaped from jail? How'd that go about?
I had money outside. My missus had the cash, and I was just itching at me, It was just itching at me fine, constantly that. She had the money too. I thought, what's she up to out there? And I just had to get out, mate. And I'd spent, this is a old Silverwater. I'd spent maybe 2 years in that jail, and I'd actually tried to escape 2 other times. I literally was cutting them for hacksaw blade down the back fence. I don't know. It's not true if you're watching officer, but I was literally cutting with a hacksaw. Those fucking galvanised steel, they don't budge. They don't, you know. So I did that one time. There was another attempt, but this final attempt, I was doing the Kairos program. You know Kairos?
Oh yeah, the church stuff, yeah.
I had made coffee biscuits. I wasn't.
They call you out after locking and stuff.
Yeah, after locking. So you'd be up in the visiting area.
Boys that want to do it, yeah.
Yeah, so and the reason I used to go was just to get out, get out of the wing.
Yeah.
And anyway, at the end of one of the sessions there, it was the 6th of February, it was my missus' birthday. I rang her up on the phone. This is a phone call from Silverwater Ramada Reception Centre. Do you want to take the call? And I said, Michelle, I said, listen, if I could come home tonight, would that be okay? It's like I wanted a permission.
Yeah.
And she would have just rolled her eyes and said, yeah, sure. And anyway, that night I scaled the fence. Everyone was in there holding hands, doing prayer and singing Kumbaya, and I managed to duck out the back. And there was one spot in that entire jail with the barrel leant over, because it's impossible to get around the barrel, but there was one spot where one barrel met another barrel, and I thought I could get up there, and I did. I weighed 60 kilos back then, I was quite agile, and I used these metal things from the garbage, big handles, and I just managed to fucking claw my way up like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I got away, bro. I was on the perimeter, I was on the fence, creeping along to get to the outside, still 100 metres from once I was up there, and Mr. Singh, the officer with the turban, he spotted me on the fence, and he just shit, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Like, it was dark, it was just dusk. He's going, holy fuck. He's on the fence, and he called the squad, the MEU, the coppers. Anyway, I ran down Parramatta River after jumping off a 24-foot fence, cut my leg to pieces on the razor wire.
Yeah.
The plan was to kind of gently skip through that, but once old mate busted me up there, I had to run. I launched off this fence, broke my arm from black and blue from here to here, ran down to Parramatta River where I swum across, it's about 100 metres in width there. Yeah. I've actually looked at the river there. Bull sharks, they reckon, in Parramatta River. Pitch dark, and I got to freedom, man. Water police was on the river. Helicopters was up there. I was in mud up to my neck in the mangroves. They couldn't see me. The coppers were just 20 metres away from the spotlight, and I'm in mud, like in these mangroves, honestly up to my neck. It was scary, bro. Yeah, anyway, I got away, man. I came up on Parramatta Speedway, this old demolition derby graveyard. Made it to Perth, and on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, my poor missus, who was done for harbouring, we got pinched and escorted back to Sydney, chucked in the fucking cargo hole on the plane to come back to Sydney, hanging out like a motherfucker. I used a lot of money. It was this home-baked heroin in Perth. I went to Perth. Anyway, long story.
Yeah. Wow. All right then. So then, what? Finally up to 49 attempts in rehab. You've got there. You've accomplished it. Yeah. You've got through it.
Yeah. On my last attempt in rehab,
you got through it?
Yeah, my last time getting clean, I just made a different decision, mate. I thought workers in rehab and detox used to say, what are you going to do different this time, Daddy? And you know what, I thought, normally I'd say get fucked, but this time I thought, what am I going to do different? And I started, you don't have to change much, you just have to change everything, and I had to change everything. I had to get rid of all the old contacts. I had to start working on myself. I started doing a gratitude list, 5 things I was grateful for each day. I started doing the journal each day. I got involved in the 12-step fellowship. And mate, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, I just continued to move forward. 1 year down, 2 years down, I started travelling. I bought myself a house, mate, in Caboolture, just a shitty little investment property up in Caboolture, but it's fucking mine. I built myself a career working in rehab. I worked in a mad rehab just over the road here for 10 years. We used to take high-risk offenders straight from prison. Working with offenders straight from prison, it was a great job, man. And that job, I worked there for 10 years, and I was working a really strong program in recovery. I'm doing 12-step fellowship meetings, every day. I'm working with other individuals in the early days of recovery. I built like a good solid foundation, right? I started sharing my stories on social media.
Yeah.
I came up with this concept, if I can just say, I was about 6 years clean, and I thought, I wonder what I was like when I first entered that same rehab.
Yeah.
What was I thinking, what was I feeling, and I recorded a video to my future self. And then, as I was recording that video, I thought, this would be a mad thing to give to the boys coming through the program. Anyway, fast forward, I developed into an app called Encapsulator, where you record and document your hopes, your dreams, your future aspirations.
Have you still got that?
Yeah, mate, it's Encapsulator.
I can drop it in here if you want.
Yeah. You basically...
And I'll drop the app, I'll drop all Danny's socials, they'll be in the description.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Yeah, it's my little baby, but in trying to share my... Like, I've spent, like... It's a big project, Encapsulator. Like, it's almost worth, $250,000 so far, just in development alone. But it's going to be big. It's going to be, everyone's going to know about Encapsulator. Yeah. We're at the tipping point. We're getting to the top, where shit's about to blow up.
I've seen it. What a fucking idea. That's a sick idea. Like, I wish I had that, and I could look back and see my thoughts and all that, and where I'd come from to where I am now, like, it's actually quite amazing.
A tool to measure your growth from beginning to end.
And even if it's not addiction, if it's when you're starting on a journey or going for goals, like,
Yeah, brother, look, today, mate, people often say to me, and I love that you said it to me, people say, you can't really be happy, Dad, right? And I'm off to Thailand on Monday for work. Yeah. I've travelled the world, sharing my journeys on social media. I've been to America fucking 3 times. I lied on the passport application. If you're asking, don't reach out and ask me how you do it. Just work it out for yourself. I've been all over the world, mate, and everywhere I go, do you know what I do first? I put my recovery first, no matter where the fuck I go. I haven't had a drink or a drug for 15 years, 1 month, and 7 days, but who's counting? And it's my job as a man in recovery and just a human being to try and share my messages of love and hope to anyone struggling, mate. That's it. That's why I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, you're doing an amazing job. And a lot of people know you, a lot of people follow you, a lot of people, even before I knew who you were or followed you, a lot of people were like, bro, you got to check out Danny, follow Danny, like, so you
and
got
I hear the same thing about you. So, at the moment, I need to throw this in, at the moment my social media has been really slow. Sometimes I've been around for 6 or 7 years now, but there's some big stuff happening in the background. I'm literally making a blockbuster film about my life, and I don't mean to say that with ego, it's just like, I'm flabbergasted. I've seen the first cut, and it's just like, it's going to be incredible.
It's a short film?
Yeah, look, it's something that's been in the making for the last 6 years. We've done like 30 hours filming, but now with all the new technology, they want to put it out there into the short film festival. So just keep an eye out. I won't even tell you the name, I won't tell you any more about it, but it's going to be epic. And it's just another little gift of recovery. That's what happens when we share our stories. And Nathan, just on YouTube, like, I've seen you grow already in this last 6 or 8 months, big time. And like, it's gone, eh? It's better than this. Look at us.
Yeah.
We get paid to do, or just to tell the truth. Why? I get paid to tell the truth.
And even just the helping others. Like, I didn't realise that would be the biggest gift. Like, even with my art, before I started doing this, that I get people messaging me, oh, you inspired me. I get their kids painting my paintings and stuff, and they're sending them to me. And I'm like, you know what, that's the best bit. Like, just that I can give that energy to someone else. Like, I can just pass it on. Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
But thanks, Danny. Watch out for his short film. I'll put a post up when it comes out anyway. Make sure he's all following, support Danny's journey. If he's going through addiction and stuff like that, get Encapsulator. If you've got big dreams, if you've got any of that stuff, you've got to set goals. If you haven't, set some goals and get Encapsulator. Anyway, Danny Shannon, guys.
Amazing, thank you.
Much appreciated. You can go now. Legend. A legend. You can go now.